top Lane Rammus and a rant. So I've been watching competitive League of Legends ever since, actually before I even started playing the game. I would watch competitive League of Legends games just because they were on, you know? They didn't really know the game back then. But what bugs me is that anytime I watch a match these days, we got the same 20 champions. Same, maybe 30 on a good day. But you get the idea, the same few champions being played. And apparently, Riot's not seeing anything wrong with this. Now let me break down any sort of game like this. Let me break down picks. There are safe picks, there are preferred picks, and then there are optimal picks. Safe picks are the ones who can deal with most situations. Preferred picks are what individuals and teams like to pick based on what they know best and their playstyle. Optimal picks are the champions who are better suited at getting a certain job done versus whatever team comp you're facing. So those are the 3 picks in competitive play. Now, so the idea here is to pick champions and counter pick strategies according to who you're facing and the picks you see now and the bans that went out. But that's not happening because we're banning the same few champions every game and we're picking the same few champions every game, and I'm really angry. And the reason I'm angry is because not a single team is waking up and realizing that, hey, if we run this, it's actually very good against this standard team comp that everyone's running nowadays. Why is it that we're seeing the same 20 champions and nobody can find a counter to any of them? It's the same champions. How are you not finding the counter? Because they don't want to try anything new. And I hate the LCS. You know why I hate the LCS? Because they encourage this. It set you the AD carry role, the AP carry role, or the mid lane, the top lane role, and the support and the jungler. Now, before I get into more details, the reason now you are going to say that, hey, look, those roles have been set a long time ago, and that's true. But when it's a best of 1 series, are you ever going to change anything, or are you going to stick to safe picks? And the problem is your safe picks are now also your optimal picks, because your safe picks are dealing with every situation, and your safe picks aren't really countered out. There's no real champion to counter out your safe picks. And now they become your preferred picks, because why would you play anything else? So what is this doing to League? We're going to come to a standstill where the same champions are being played in the same roles, and it's just going to be like watching the same game get played every single time. There's not going to be any diversity. So I'm playing top lane Rammus. I'm going to let this whole video run because I got a lot to talk about. Now, so the idea is, the biggest problem here is, let me just plug in some headphones so the noise doesn't get out of control. So the biggest problem here is that since these picks are becoming our everything, we're not going to change jack. We're going to keep doing it. And people who were known for X champion aren't going to play their ex-champion anymore because they're too busy sticking to these safe, preferred, and optimal picks. Everything's becoming one, and there's no reason to change the type of team comps you're running, which is why we see the same champions no matter what we do.
30 seconds until
And I'm going to tell you some things that the pros won't tell you about League of Legends. There are many team comps that don't fit our standard roles that are very, very strong. They do everything right, but because they don't fit this standard role, no one's gonna play them. I'm gonna tell you something else. I hate you pros because all you pros had a champion you loved at one point and a champion you invested so much time in that you aren't going to play because they don't fit the certain standards, right? Because they aren't those safe optimal picks. And that's all good and fine, I guess. Money's on the line, I understand that. But why did you not take your time to even think twice about giving up your champion? Why did you not think about where can I pull out my champion in a good situation? And I'll be honest, I don't think there is a good situation you can pull your champion out because your champion doesn't fit the safe, optimal, and preferred. And it all became one now. There is no diversity. There's none. So, what's the problem? You may think, oh, what's the problem with seeing the same champions in the game? What does this say about Riot's balanced team? That all this happened. What does it say? The game's not balanced. And any kid who comes into the game and thinks it's balanced only feels that way because he probably snowballed his lane opponent and just significantly just got a little gold league, and it spirals out of control once you get a minor gold league. That's just how the game works. You spiral out of control once you have the lane advantage. That's just the way it is. So you may think your champion's all cool and balanced because you have a significant lane advantage and you're facing bad players who don't know how to counterplay that. But that's not the case. Now I'm going to tell you a story. So back in the day when I first started playing this game, Lee Sin had Lee Sin was one of the stronger champions. He's probably still is. I think he still is. But so when I played against Lee Sin, this was way back when his execution damage was quite a lot stronger than it is now. So when I was low health and I got Q'd, I lost like 200 health, right? So right off the bat I realized, hey, why is that guy so much stronger than my champion? No matter what I do, I can't fight him. And if you're the smart noob, you say, hey, I know a way to outplay him. I'm going to walk around and dodge his Q when he's trying to throw it at me. It's a skill shot, right? But if you're the standard player, you say, hey, I should start playing that guy because no matter what I do, I can't seem to duel him. In a straight up fight, he always seems to beat me. So I'm going to start playing him. So that's what happened to every League of Legends player. They just saw someone play someone who was strong and decided, hey, I need to play him too. That guy's looking really strong. I need to play him too. And now we have all these pros out, right? And guess what the new players are thinking now? Hey, all these pros are playing these champions. I need to play them too. And now, not only in the competitive scene are we lacking diversity, now in the casual play scene, we have no diversity. Every game I get into, every normal, I don't see the champions that nobody plays. I don't see them because we have no diversity anymore. We're too busy copying the pros to try and get better. We can't learn Jack for ourselves. And there's no money on the line in a normal game. Maybe there's rank and your ego because you want to beat your lane opponent. But there's really, why are we limiting ourselves over what the pros are doing? Because no matter what we do, it's the best way to win. There were many games I had this really cool team comp where everyone's just kind of playing their own champions, and I lost because I was facing something completely straight out of the meta competitive play, right? So because I was facing this and I lost, and I thought about it, I'm like, hey, I think I only lost because what they're playing is just straight out competitive play, and I don't think there's any real way to beat that. So what did I do? Did I start playing the meta? For a while, yeah. For a while, I remember Gangplank was my champion. This was back when Gangplank was really strong. And I played Gangplank. I thought I was so cool because I had Warmongs, Atmos, Trinity Force, Frozen Mallet, and I had Merc Treads. And I was straight up a meta golem, right? And I would just beat everyone. I'm like, yeah, Gangplank's so good. I'm so good at Gangplank. Oh man, I'm so good. And Gangplank got nerfed. Now, when Gangplank got nerfed, did I stop playing him? No. Because he was what I knew. And as long as his kit functioned the same way, I enjoyed his gameplay. So despite Gangplank getting nerfed, I didn't just give him up. I found ways to do better with him. Despite the nerf, I changed up my build, I changed up my playstyle to better suit the now nerfed Gangplank. Instead of going Meta Golem, I decided to go Train Force, Bloodthirster, Ramduin's Omen, Shurelia's Last Whispers. And this will allow me to stick to people, be moderately tanky, and deal a ton of damage. Same thing the Meta Golem build sort of did for me. So I innovated, and Gangplank was one of the champions that helped me get to 1600 Elo in Season 2. Right? So, right there is me not giving way into... I could have picked up a different champion. But instead of doing that, I made sure that I learned how to win with my champion. Because he was my champion. I had some sort of feeling towards him. He was just who I played. Now, it's the same thing with Master Yi. Master Yi is also my champion. I had played him for a really long time, and I loved his gameplay. Now, Master Yi has a long history of getting nerfed, buffed. Random stuff always happens to Master Yi because he is so unstable as a champion. He's either going to do really well, or he's going to get completely destroyed. Right? That's the whole idea of Master Yi. So he's inconsistent. But how do I make an inconsistent champion more consistent? I play better. I remember I always said to myself, man, I stomp games so hard, but how come I'm not winning them? And I kept thinking about it. And I eventually found the whole root, a certain build that would allow me to win games no matter who I was facing, no matter what I was doing. Season 3 comes along, and I hit Platinum Elo with Master Yi. So, what I'm trying to get at is, pros, they don't do this anymore. They know the champions, and they just keep playing them. And I don't know why they keep playing them. If you're so much better than me, if you're at the pro level, if you get to live like a king in a mansion, why can't you even just sit down and think about your gameplay and stop being blindly guided by something that's been around for years and you think it's how you win now? You're completely blind, and you probably think you know a lot about the game. But if you really knew a lot, you would wake up and try something new. But you don't. Too busy sticking to the same champions that you think are OP, the same champions you think are gonna win, and you're playing the same 20 champions every day of your life for the rest of your life, and you call it a job. I wouldn't want to be you. I wouldn't want to be the guy playing the same champion that everyone else is now playing and thinking, yeah, I beat him with this champion that he also plays, that he's probably been playing just about as long as me, that he knew everything about, but I beat him because this champion's really strong. I don't want to be you. I really don't. Go ahead, live in your match and live like a king, but I don't want to be you who's playing a champion he may not love, just a champion who wins games. I want to be the guy who could win a game with the champion he loves, despite whether his champion is considered good or not. But money's on the line again, and I'm sure if I was paid as much as they were, even if I didn't want to be them, I still would be. Because money's money, and people gotta live. And as much as I wouldn't want to be you, and as much as I'd rather be the person who plays a champion he loves and wins with him, I'm going to be you, because that's just what Riot made me. They didn't buff my champion. They didn't make the game equal. They didn't make it balanced. They didn't make it fair. and there's certainly no counterplay to certain things, just because the item shop sucks. If I needed to disarm a champion, I don't have. If I don't have a stun, I can't buy one. If I need a slow, I could buy that, but that's just about all I could buy. There's no counterplay in the item shop. There's too many things I need that I can't buy. My champion will always suck because he can't get the things he needs from the item shop. Now, again, that's what really bothers me about League of Legends. Is you call yourself a pro, and you can't even innovate a new strat. You want to just copy what everybody else did. Guess what? Blue Ezreal, you didn't make that. You copied it from some other guy who probably thought for a while, long and hard, how he can make Ezreal better. How could he use a new more mana? You're just a North American pro. You didn't think of that. You didn't even take your time to move it. When more manga came out, you were probably still sticking to the same bloodthirsty build you always had been. Because that's just what we're taught to do. The LCS taught us to do it. And every single competitive tournament taught us to do it. Until Riot nerfed our champion. And then we slowly, very slowly, picked off other things that other people were playing. And now we're stale. We're completely stale. We got nothing new. We look like idiots. And it's just really sad. We've done nothing good. And you're pros, guys. Wake up. You have skill, you have talent. But you don't pay attention. You don't want to innovate. You want to stick to the same roles that you think is how we win. And now you're teaching randoms and low-level players to do the same thing. You're teaching them to stick to the same thing you are. And to be honest, I'm going to tell you, the number one way you win with League of Legends is to have the right setup. You want to have the right masteries and you want to have the right runes. That can get you from bronze to silver. The difference between a bronze person and a silver person is when he plays casting against a AD champion, he has armor runes. That's the difference. That alone is the difference between a bronze player and a silver player. That right there is basically the only difference, is having the right setup at that point. There really isn't much else of a difference there. But if you want to get better, setup's not going to help you. You have to actually know your champion. You have to know what you're doing. And you have to know how to win. Which, in your case, is following the meta, playing your Hecarim, playing your Zinjao, playing your jungle Nasus, playing whatever your Diana mid. Same thing the pros are. With the same setup the pros are. Doing the same stuff you think the pros will do in those situations. And you fail at it. You completely suck. Because guess what? You're still silver and bronze, aren't you? So wake up. Try some innovation. Try doing your own thing. You may find that it fits you better. When I was gold, I played Skarner. And back in Season 2, I played Skarner, Gangplank. And I played Jax and Master Yi. Those were like my 4 champions. Gangplank at one point was sorted in the meta. And Skarner was never quite, he was there on his release, but then afterwards he wasn't quite, but people respected him, right? So the pros at the time weren't playing Skarner, but I was. And he just fit my playstyle. And thing is, like, he eventually did become the meta because he was strong. And I acknowledge the fact that I was playing a strong champion when I was playing Skarner. But I didn't copy what any pros were doing. I learned Skarner basically on my own. And I had a build. It was real funny looking, but it was a build. I built, standard things you probably would see on every Skarner. But I had the game sense, and when you have the game sense, that's the difference between silver and gold. Understand the game sense, knowing what Skarner's capable of. I would just walk up to people, start spamming Q because I knew they couldn't kill me. I knew I was strong. I knew I had a perma slow, so they weren't going anywhere. And that gets you from silver to gold. Now, on top of that, why can't pros understand that what they're doing is played out? Every single pro knows exactly what the champions you are doing does. And you probably, if you faced some of the champions you haven't faced again, wouldn't exactly know, or you might forget something. Well, if you play all the champions in the game at the skill level you are, which is generally Diamond or Challenger, you will be able to know every single counter pick. And when I mean every single counter pick, you will know that top lane Rammus is completely viable in certain situations and matchups. You will understand that top lane Master Yi can farm really hard depending on who he's facing. But why do you not pick these champions when you know they can face these certain people? It's because you're too busy, you're too stuck to your safe, preferred, optimal pick. The reason these picks became that way is because Riot hasn't balanced their game very well, and these champions have a very clear advantage over certain other ones. And the advantage is so clear, there's no reason to play anything else. The advantage is there. It's 100% clear. Nothing there's nothing hidden there. You know it. So you're not going to play it. And that's just gonna be the end of it. And I don't know what you want, but I don't want this game to go down that route. I think it's really sad when the game goes down the route where you're playing the same few champions. You have 100 and something champions in the game and you're playing the same few ones. And like, for some people that's cool and all. They like their champions, but for me it's not. I want to see a game with diversity. I want to see a person who knows, like, oh yeah, I could pull top lane Rammus versus this guy, and I'll completely hard counter him despite top lane Rammus not being a popular thing. I want to know someone who says, yeah, AP Silent can be really, really good against this person, and I could pick them with these specific champions around me. Or Hermandinger, if I have Jason Hermandinger, I could send Tryndamere to split push all day and we'll be able to hold down any tower. Or if I have a Nivea and Malzahar on my team, we can combo our AoEs into one group and try to keep everyone on there. Right? But we're not doing this because we're too stuck with our standard. And I can tell you there's bot lanes who beat some of these AD carry combinations. I can tell you there were bot lanes of champions who wouldn't normally go bot that beat Soraka and Urgot even before we nerfed them. But because Riot is too set, and we are too set on this mid, top, bottom, jungle mentality where we need a ranged champion, we never figured it out. And we never got the time to figure out, and we never had the items to optimize against these champions. We had nothing, and that's a Riot balance problem. But why? I remember back when I was a noob, and I saw Lee Sin cue me in my face, and I said I could step to avoid it. Why can't we think like that? We are not thinking like that. Dang, man, that champion's so overpowered. No counter play, no answer. We think like that. And why do we think like that? Because we don't know any other way to think. There is no other way to think. Because we don't do it. It's easier to say they're OP, play another OP champion, and move on. It's not easy to realize that if I had thrown Tryndamere bot lane and stuck him with a hard engaged champion, that we can all in Soraka, and if we crit her, she will die because she has one of the lowest base armors. And then if we kill Soraka, Urgot doesn't have the armor to deal with me. But we didn't think like that. We said, hey man, it's beating every single AD carry support combination. There must be no counterplay around it. Why did we think like that? Why were we the noob who said, hey, let me play Lee Sin too? Why were we that noob? Why weren't we the noob who said, hey, I could sidestep that? Why, dude? There was no reason for us not to be the sidestep noob. No reason at all. Other than we were taught AD carry, support bot, always. And we still got the game. Our best of ones still got the game, and the LCS completely froze any sort of advancement Season 3 would have made. It completely froze it, because for a long time Riot was, because of the LCS has launched, they were too afraid to change the game. They were literally too afraid to make the major changes that we needed. We needed these old champions to come back. These old champions had kits that could, with small number alters and small like details and small buffs, could lane and deal with many of the champions we thought were OP.
Rampage.
And it makes me angry that the pros are completely oblivious to this. Because when I was watching the All-Star game today, they were picking the same champions I knew they were going to pick just based off of who they are and the type of team comps they were going to run. The only thing that threw me off was when double lift pulled out Urgot. That was the only thing that threw me off. Right? Only thing. Everything else I saw coming. But like, I really don't get it. They're pros. Start playing like it. Start playing like you know the game. Stop playing like you know the same thing you were taught, and that's all you know. Because I know, I like to believe that most of you know, who have been playing from beta, know the things the original beta characters do. You know Trundle's passive. You know how Master Yi works. You know how Annie's burst. You've been playing since beta. You know these things, but you act like you don't. You act like you gotta keep playing that Kha'Zix mid, that Elise mid, that Elise support, that Hecarim, that Rumble, that Malphite, that Remington. It's making you look like you don't know the game. And it's making you look like you got the same few champions and that's all you know how to do. And as someone who's considered pro, I find that ridiculous that you can't even innovate. Ask yourself as a pro player, individually, what have you done to change the meta? Because wake up, you haven't done shit. You've done nothing. Because you were too busy still playing it in an attempt to win money. Not realizing you couldn't make money doing something that was new. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you're living like kings and you can't even think for yourself. You got everything laid out for you. You got hours to practice. You don't got anything to worry about. Your clothes, they're paid for. Your job, you got it. You stream, you're making that money. But you couldn't contribute jack to the meta. And you haven't changed anything important in the game. Other than mega fan base. Who's just gonna copy what you do. Your lack of innovating. Just what you do. For a long time, I really thought somebody, anyone, was going to play my champion and do well with him. And when they did, they played him as AP. They played AP Master Yi. They didn't play him the way he was meant to be played. That says a lot about Riot's balancing. But I wasn't mad. I was just happy to have my champion be played. I was like, wow, someone finally picked Master Yi. I didn't care that he was AP. I was happy that somebody finally did it. But as I kept seeing AP Yis, I got even madder. It mattered. Because AP Yi has been around for a while. It's not new. but it took us this long to actually play it, and then it got nerfed. It got nerfed. And it has been around for a while. And then when it got nerfed, Master Yi completely disappeared from competitive play. If APE was ever going to be picked again, he was no more, just over one nerf. So where's AD Master Yi? Nowhere. And I know how to play APE. I understand exactly how it works because I know Master Yi. But like, that's not the point. Like, that's irrelevant. Because he's not going to be played. And I came to terms with the fact that the champion, the way he was meant to be played, and the design of his gameplay, the way he was meant to counter people, is non-existent. Things he was meant to do, he doesn't do. Not as AP. And it's just so sad to think that the way someone designed something isn't the way it's used. And that's good for innovation. I like that. I like the fact that APE was thing. And it got nerfed. I just don't like the fact that because APE became a thing, people completely forgot about the strength of AD Master Yi. They just woke up one day and said, what's AD Master Yi? How does it work? I remember I played a game and I was going to pick Jungle Master Yi, and someone said, Jungle Master Yi? What the hell's that? Don't pick that. No one plays that. I've never seen that before. And Master Yi was one of the original junglers. And he told me that I was trolling. The Jungle Master Yi is not a thing. And to be honest, he was ignorant, but he was right. If he turned on any stream, he would know that Jungle Master Yi was not a thing. But I spent like 20 minutes ranting about the same thing. I think you guys get the point. I hope you guys get the point. And Riot's balance team is to blame, but the pros also take the weight of the blame. Because they didn't bother innovating. They didn't bother finding counters. They just said, hey, Riot gave me this OP champion, I'm going to use it. Riot gave me 100 champions who I didn't even bother to check or even play against to see if they countered the OPs. So I'm just going to keep playing the OPs. Everyone else, every other pro around me is going to keep playing the OPs because that's just what we do. And we're going to follow its meta blindly. And we're going to have a great time making money and living like kings. And Riot's going to take years to actually fix their game. And that's the truth. That's the end of it. That's all there is to it. It's nothing else.